welcome to Stef ABtv. On my right, Mr. Petrol Pen. I'm kind of in a bit of a challenge. I'm trying to film a bit of content for you on what is this brand new facelift Giulia Veloce. The most obvious thing about this car, of course, is it's the colour, isn't it? I mean, what do you think of this ochre yellow colour?
It is beautiful.
It's lovely, isn't it?
And unfortunately, because the weather is pants, we're in Puglia, for goodness sake. It's meant to be lovely. I know it's horrible weather, but in the sunshine, this paintwork would. Pop, I hate to use the term pop, but it would pop.
I'll use it.
Yeah.
It will pop.
Yeah, when you get to the kind of mature years like me, there are a few words you can't use. Pop is one, sick is the other.
Well, you've used both around my company, so. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this colour, this ochre yellow, looks really, really nice. And one of the things that I think it reminds me a little bit, I think it reminds me of a more deeper kind of bronzozzena looking colour that you'd find on the Aventador SVJ. Granted, that's a lot lighter, but it has a kind of similar feel to it, which is very cool. Now, what's changed from an engine perspective? I'll be honest, nothing. It's still a 2-litre 4-pot engine running at around 280 horsepower. It's doing a 5.0 to 60 time, which is very respectable. We do still have the issue of not being able to turn off the traction control on this car, which I guess right now is probably quite a sensible thing, but it does limit you a little bit, which is a little
You're just making an excuse. That's why you didn't go round that corner fully lit.
So yeah, so from an exterior perspective, colour has changed, engine remains the same. The real meat, the real changes on this car come from the interior. That's kind of where all the changes happen. So if I start with what's directly in front of me, so the steering wheel has changed as well. So some of the buttons have changed slightly on this car, and the main reason the buttons have changed is to house the new level 2 kind of autonomous driving. The other thing we get is changes to the TFT screen, which is directly in front of me. And as if you've watched Pete's video, Pete will say exactly the same, is that when we first figured about the TFT 7-inch, we thought it'd be almost virtual cockpit style.
I'm a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, and I can see, I know that Alfa's, passion and emotion about driving, I get that, and by having these analog dials almost kind of connects a little bit more, but I still think now that, yeah, I would agree with you actually. The other thing is the center MMI, or what is it we call this now? HMI.
You can't call it a man-machine interface, a human-machine interface. Human-machine
interface is what we have here. So this now it benefits from the fact that it's touchscreen, which is a really good thing. It's really kind of bringing it back in line with what majority of other manufacturers are doing. But also, oh wow, it's not letting me change lane. I'll touch on that in a moment. And also the fact that we've been able to keep the wheel as well, which I think is very, very good. Yeah. I know Joe, if Joe Achilles is watching this, Joe is not a fan of touchscreen only. He likes having the ability to kind of use the clicker wheels. So Joe, Giulia, great for you, buddy.
I'm missing you.
Yes, exactly that. But earlier on there, you just saw that I was struggling to change lane, and the reason for that is that, well, I didn't turn my indicator on early enough, because that's just me not driving properly. But two, we have now got the active lane assist. So in the past you had a passive lane assist, which would kind of make this kind of noise if you kind of swing out into the other lane, whereas now they've kind of, very similar to what you find in something like Audi and BMW, you get steering vibration and feel, and it pulls you away from the road unless you're indicating in advance to make that maneuver. The other things that we get is a blind spot one. You get active blind spots. So for example, if there's a blind spot over my left shoulder and I think it's a great idea just to send it, it will make a very loud noise, and it will also prevent me from doing so. What else do we get on this? We get the adaptive cruise control.
Yes.
With two modes, highway mode and traffic mode.
Yeah, I think we need to test both of those.
I think so.
I'm not convinced about the traffic jam mode, if I'm honest.
I think we'll definitely explore that. As you can see, it's getting very dark. I don't know what you can even see. Now, before we jump into the Stelvio and experience the level 2 autonomous drive, it's probably worthwhile explaining what trim levels you can expect to see from the model year 20 cars coming to the UK. The entry level model will be called the Super. You can expect 200 bhp from the petrol, 190 bhp from the diesel. Both of these cars will be rear wheel drive, and they provide a great base spec. Pricing for the UK is still yet to be announced, but will be announced shortly. Next up in the range is the Sprint model, which runs the same engine and horsepower as the previous one stated, however, it runs a 4-wheel drive platform. The luxury and comfort model is called the Lusso TI, and it runs the same performance and engine variant as the all-wheel drive Sprint. However, as expected in the title, you would expect to see more luxury in this model. The flagship model, which is the one Pete and I are driving, is the Veloce. The Veloce is a petrol that runs 280 bhp and the diesel equivalent runs 210 bhp. Both come with all-wheel drive, and everything that I've mentioned is mirrored in both Giulia and Stelvio. One of the things that I've always said is the interior needs to be a little bit more updated to bring it more in line with its competition, and Alfa have done exactly that. So the center console gets a complete refresh, which is good. We've got different styling and a much nicer feel for the gear lever. We have more storage as well here, so the cup holder space gets bigger. We get more additional storage down here, and also we get wireless charging, which is good. The fact on the steering wheel, we obviously have the level 2 autonomous driving, which means we have additional buttons in here. So we have got lane assist, we have got 2 types of autonomous driving. We've got traffic jam mode, which basically is up to 0 to 60 miles per hour, and then from 60 mile an hour all the way up you have the highway mode, which we will try out in the Stelvio very shortly. The TFT display in the center has been improved. Obviously the old infotainment system was pants, we all know that. In the fact it was so basic. This looks much better. I'm much more of a fan of this, and also the cool thing is, because this is almost like a your mobile phone, if you like, you can drag and drop like apps, which I think is really cool, and I think it's just a nice touch. So yeah, so I think infotainment is definitely much improved, which is what it needed. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a go and have a look at the Stelvio and have a bit more of an exploration there, because we've got more time, more light. The interior on both cars have been refreshed, so what you'll see in the Stelvio will effectively be the same thing in the Giulia. So we're going to jump in the Stelvio now, and we will catch up with you in a bit.
So I'm just trying out this traffic jam thing. Oh, yeah. This is going to be interesting. No, I don't know.
No, you'd be brave. Not going to. You'd be brave to do that, my friend. Woo!
Let's put it back.
Yeah.
Woo, there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a traffic jam. So I've set it to the speed limit.
Yeah.
What it does is it kind of works out whether it can go into autonomous mode. You get these green bars either side of your little picture there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that all the time. So it's not like you can use it. So, oh, here we go. I'm on green. So I'm now in traffic mode. Yeah. So basically, it's a straight bit of road, which doesn't help. But it would, if I was to veer out of lane, especially if there's an articulated lorry coming the other way.
Yeah.
It just basically actively steers me back in.
Yeah.
It works
so
really well.
This is a good example.
Really interested to see if it's going to spot this.
Oh my god! Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, did? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Bit late.
I was shadowing the brake so much then, it's unbelievable.
Okay, so it did. But see, that's interesting, and I don't think that's just this car. I think a lot of the kind of autonomous kind of cruise control and active braking and pre-sense kind of stuff, I think they are almost a bit quite. Oh, was that you? That was you.
No, that was me. Yeah.
They are almost a little bit late at the and even though it does work, it does really test you, doesn't it? It's almost like a game of chicken.
Yeah.
How long do you wait before you put the anchors on?
Yeah. Now I would use that in a traffic jam.
Yes.
I wouldn't use it in a town. For me, there's far too many things happening. That guy nearly pulled out. Yeah. There's lots of stuff happening around.
Yeah.
And for me as a driver, I want to be in control of that.
Yeah. Right. So we're on.
We're on the Autostrada.
We're on the Autostrada, and now we can actually give the highway level 2 autonomous drive a go.
Let's give it a go. So it's a 130 mile an hour, 130 kilometre limit. Yeah. So I've set to 130.
Yeah.
I've got my green lights.
Yeah.
I'm now in autonomous mode. So
we've got a turn coming up.
We've got a turn coming up. Shall we be brave?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll do it.
So it is a hands-on feature. Yeah. Because it's still level 2, but I'm not going to basically put any input into this steering.
Yeah. There you go.
And it is.
It is, isn't it?
I'm not doing anything there. Yeah. It's just taking us around very nicely. Now, I've driven a couple of cars with this before, and sometimes you go around a corner almost like a 50 pence piece. It kind of does that.
Yeah.
It's just going around really nice.
It's very smooth.
Quite impressive, that. There's a truck coming, so we'll obviously have to. Now, what this doesn't do, if you were to compare it with something like a Tesla, with their autopilot system, you can do exactly what we're doing now with Tesla, but then when you indicate, the car pulls out for you. This doesn't do that.
No.
What it does do is when you indicate, it basically allows you to change lane.
Yeah.
Now I would use this a lot. If you're doing lots of miles, it's just, you still have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it just allows you to You still have to focus, but it's just a bit more relaxing. So I'm now gonna.
So I was going to say, how confident are you in it right now?
I am now,
then
because
look at me, and hold it through this corner. We did it!
Like, no, there's a truck coming. There's a truck coming.
No, it's good. It does work, and I think where this really comes into its own, because I was fortunate enough to take a BMW to Geneva, and it would be the very similar concept with this. It will allow you to do some really long distances and get to the other end without feeling really mentally drained.
Yeah.
Because you really do start to sometimes forget. I mean, like now, you're looking at me a lot more now than you were,
yeah, which actually isn't great.
Yeah, but it does. It's good, and I think people find real value and use of this. So yeah.
But you're not going to sit here and read a book or do some editing.
No,
You've still got to drive. We're still driving a car.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I mean, the day that we can sit down and edit a video whilst driving is going to be incredible, mate. We'll have so much time back.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So I think in summary, it's a really nice addition that kind of enhances Stelvio and Giulia to what they really need to be. Any final thoughts?
I have to say, I'm super impressed with the driving, the autonomous driving.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
It is cool.
And I think it's just a nice refresh.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be people complain it's not that dramatic.
Yeah.
But actually, what's been done has been done really well.
Yeah.
And I think it enhances the car, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Mate, as always, pleasure having you on the channel. Thank you so much. Another trip down with Stef and Mr. Petrol Ped. If you haven't, exactly, Chuckle Brothers, yeah. If you haven't already, guys, make sure to subscribe to Pete's channel. I will leave it linked in the description below. Of course, if you did like the video, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all very soon.